It all started with a deep conversation that is more powerful than kisses, attention and admiration. I wasn't looking for love. I wasn't even looking for attention. I was just trying to help a young man get back on his feet, until my heart got in the way. Hey, before you judge me, kindly pay attention to this story. Hi and welcome back to Hearts Awakened. If you are new here, subscribe and hit on notifications, and to you all my lovely returning subscribers, thanks for stopping by. My name is Lucy Evans. I'm 50 years old. A mother of 2 grown children and a wife. For 27 years, I wore that title with pride. My husband, Malcolm, is a respected dentist in town. We had a quiet, predictable life, filled with polite smiles, empty dinners, and the occasional anniversary card. Love had become a habit, not a feeling. It all started on a rainy Monday morning. I was volunteering at a local community center, where I occasionally offered resume help and job coaching. That day, he walked in. Jonathan. He looked like trouble wrapped in a soft-spoken suit. 35, tall, scruffy beard, kind brown eyes that carried 1,000 untold stories. He sat across from me, soaked to the bone, holding a coffee the receptionist had handed him. I heard you help people find jobs, he said. His voice was quiet but steady. I smiled. I try. He told me he'd just moved back from out of state after his business failed. He was struggling, no job, little money, and staying with a cousin he barely knew. Something about him tugged at me. He was polite, honest, and didn't carry the usual arrogance some younger men had when talking to older women. He respected me, listened, and seemed genuinely grateful for my time. Over the next few weeks, Jonathan became a regular. I helped him craft a better resume, coached him through mock interviews, even gave him tips on how to dress and present himself. He listened like no one else had in years, not even Malcolm. He didn't interrupt me, didn't check his phone, didn't dismiss my opinions. He made me feel seen. One Friday, he stayed late. The other volunteers had gone home. He lingered as I packed up. I just wanted to say thank you, he said softly. You've been the only one who believed in me. I gave a little laugh, brushing it off. You've got potential, Jonathan. Anyone can see that. He stood there awkwardly, as if he wanted to say more. Then he asked, would you mind having coffee with me sometime, just as a thank you? My instincts told me to decline. A married woman doesn't go to coffee with a younger man, especially not one who looks at her like she matters. But I said yes. Just coffee, I told myself. Nothing more. That Saturday, we met at a quiet cafe outside town. He wore a clean shirt I'd helped him pick for an interview. He looked different, less lost. We talked for hours. He asked about my life, my dreams, my youth. I found myself telling him things I hadn't even told my husband. I left that cafe smiling, my cheeks warm, my heart full in a way I hadn't felt in decades. It wasn't love. Not yet. But something had begun. That night, Malcolm didn't even ask where I'd been. He was already asleep in the armchair, the TV humming in the background. I stood there for a moment, watching him, and wondered if he would notice if I never came home. The next time Jonathan came to the center, he brought me a thank you card. Inside was a small drawing, a rose, and a note, you've given me more than help. You've given me hope. My hands trembled as I read it. I told myself it was nothing. Just gratitude. Just kindness. Just helping. But somewhere deep down, I knew the lines were blurring. And I wasn't sure I wanted to stop it. After that coffee, things changed between us, subtly, then not so subtly. Jonathan got a job as a junior sales executive. The day he got the offer, he ran straight to the center. Not to tell anyone else, but to find me. He walked in, beaming. I got it, he said, grabbing my hands. I couldn't have done it without you. I laughed, thrilled for him, and before I knew it, he pulled me into a hug. It was warm. Honest. But it lingered too long. When I stepped back, I didn't scold him. I didn't remind him I was married. I just looked into those eyes, so full of gratitude and admiration, and smiled. A dangerous smile. From then on, our meetings moved beyond resumes. He would text me after work, "Had a tough day. Wish I could talk to you. Or you always make me feel like I matter." And I replied. At first, it was harmless. But slowly, the texts turned tender. "You're amazing, Lucy," he once wrote. "I don't know why your husband doesn't see it." That message haunted me. Because he was right. Malcolm had grown so distant. Dinner at home was always cold. We barely spoke. We were living side by side like roommates stuck in a decades-old lease. If I wore something nice, he didn't notice. If I was upset, he didn't ask. But Jonathan? He noticed everything. He would say things like, "That color looks perfect on you," or "You deserve someone who listens." Words I hadn't heard in years. One night, Malcolm came home later than usual. I asked how work was. He said, "Busy," and walked past me. No kiss. No smile. Just silence. I sat on the edge of our bed and stared at my phone. Jonathan had texted, "Thinking about you. Hope you're okay." I replied, "I'm not. But hearing from you helps." And it did. Soon, our messages turned into lunch breaks. Then walks in the park. And one afternoon, he kissed me. It wasn't passionate or wild. It was slow. Careful. Almost reverent. I pulled back instantly. "Jonathan, I'm married," I said, breathless. "I know," he whispered. "But does he really see you? Does he even care?" I didn't answer. Because I didn't know anymore. That night, I sat across from Malcolm at dinner. I watched him scroll through his phone between bites of pasta I'd spent an hour making. He didn't say a word about it. I finally asked, "Malcolm, do you still love me?" He blinked, surprised. "What kind of question is that?" "I'm serious." He shrugged. "We're still here, aren't we?" Still here. Like staying was proof of affection. Like presence could replace passion. I went to bed early and cried under the sheets. Jonathan called the next morning. His voice was soft. "Lucy, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have kissed you. But I don't regret feeling what I feel for you." And neither did I. We started meeting secretly. Not often. Not recklessly. Just moments stolen in quiet places, a bench in the garden, a bookstore aisle, his car parked behind the old library. He made me feel beautiful. Desired. Alive. But I also felt guilty. Not because I was kissing another man. But because I liked it. Because I craved it. At home, Malcolm didn't notice the change in me. Or maybe he did. And didn't care enough to ask. Jonathan wanted more. He started asking questions I didn't have answers to. What if we could be together? For real? Could we? Was I really ready to give up 27 years of marriage for someone I'd known a few months? Then came the day everything shifted. Malcolm found one of Jonathan's notes tucked into a book on our nightstand. I came home to find him sitting at the dining table, the note open beside him. He didn't yell. Didn't accuse. Just looked at me and asked, "Who is Jonathan?" And in that moment, I realized something heartbreaking. It wasn't just the marriage I had betrayed. It was myself. Malcolm held the note like it was a stranger's confession, careful, cold, distant. I stood by the door, frozen. The silence between us wasn't just uncomfortable, it was crushing. "I asked you a question," he said again, quieter. "Who is Jonathan?" I walked over slowly, every step heavier than the last. "He's someone I was helping." "He came to the center," I said. Malcolm didn't blink. "And now?" "Now?" Now he was the first person who'd made me feel alive in years. He was the one who remembered my favorite tea, the one who noticed when I changed my hair, the one who made me laugh when I felt invisible. But I couldn't say any of that. Instead, I whispered, "It got too far." Malcolm leaned back in his chair. "Did you sleep with him?" "No," I said firmly. "But, there were moments." A bitter laugh escaped him. "So I guess you're trying to say it's not as bad as it sounds." "No, Malcolm," I said. "It's exactly as bad. Maybe worse. Because it wasn't physical, it was emotional. It was everything we stopped having." That hit him harder than any confession could have. He stood, paced the floor, then turned to me. "All these years. I provided, I stayed, I never cheated. You were absent." I snapped. "You were here, but you weren't with me. I begged for your attention and all I got was silence. You didn't notice when I cried at night. You didn't even ask why I stopped trying." His face changed. Regret. Anger. Hurt. He sat down again, head in his hands. "So what now?" I didn't know. I truly didn't. I hadn't planned on falling for Jonathan. I didn't wake up one morning and choose this. It just happened. I spent the night on the couch. Jonathan texted, but I didn't reply. The next morning, I drove to the park where Jonathan and I had last met. He was already there, sitting on our usual bench. He stood when he saw me, smiling softly. "Hey." "Jonathan," I said, "Malcolm found the note." His face dropped. I didn't tell him everything. But he knows enough. There was silence between us, painful, heavy silence. "Do you regret it?" he finally asked. I looked at him, really looked. This man had been a balm to my loneliness, a reminder that I was still a woman who could feel and be felt. But now, standing in front of him, I realized he represented something deeper. A symptom, not the cure. "No," I said. "But I need time. Time to figure out who I am outside of my marriage. Outside of this mess." He nodded. "I understand." He didn't ask me to choose. He didn't beg. He just smiled and said, "You helped me more than you'll ever know." We hugged one last time. It wasn't romantic. It was goodbye. In the weeks that followed, Malcolm and I talked, really talked, for the first time in years. We argued, we cried, we unpacked the boxes we'd shoved into emotional corners long ago. He even suggested counseling. I agreed. Not because I owed him, but because I owed myself the chance to heal properly. Jonathan and I never spoke again. He moved away for a better job. Sometimes I wonder how he's doing. Sometimes I smile at the memory of how alive he made me feel. But now, I'm learning to feel alive on my own terms. Epilogue. If you asked me today, I wouldn't say I'm proud of what I did. But I'm no longer ashamed. Because it forced me to wake up. It forced my husband and I to face the ghosts we had ignored. It forced me to stop fading quietly into the background of my own life. Sometimes, what begins as a simple act of kindness becomes the thing that breaks you open, so something better can grow. And I will never again mistake being invisible for being loyal. If you find this story helpful and interesting, kindly subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories like this.